Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday morning trading session. Just one moment here while I get you my monitor. All right, so the market's not doing a whole lot since they left off after yesterday's rally. It'll be interesting to see whether the buyers can continue this rally or whether or not the market is just going to continue moving sideways today, which is what it very often does after a rally. I've mentioned this before, but it wasn't that long ago that you can actually trade the markets and expect it to rally for a couple of days. If there was a strong rally like this yesterday, you would assume that today would have a strong rally as well, but that's no longer the case, I'm afraid. What tends to happen is we tend to get a rally day and then we get a choppy day. A rally day or maybe two choppy days. So we'll have to see what the market's giving us. But right now, they're resuming their trading pretty much from where they left off yesterday. So no real opening gaps to worry about. We'll just wait and see whether we can produce a quality style signal. And then perhaps we'll jump on board with a trade and give it a try, see which way the market may try to move out from here. All right, might be getting a red bar buy toward the bottom end of this trading range that we see. Okay, nothing to get too excited about yet. I'm still here, just nothing going on. All right, so the NQ now challenging the top end of this trading range. So by the trading range, I mean this zone like this. So we had a signal produce here. It didn't go anywhere. I know it's not a signal we would take, but still it's a signal. And from the signal, we anticipate that the market's going to try to do something. No real move lower here. We'll see whether we produce a signal and we end up trying to resume yesterday's trend. Of course, the best course of action when you have a sideways range like this is to allow the market to break out. Let it get out and show you it can stay out. And then look for that breakout signal. Same thing here. Don't buy the initial breakout. Let it break out, let it retest. Come back, produce a signal, which it will. Anything within this range is going to be really a 50-50 type trade. A little bit of a crapshoot, as they say. Oh my, everybody's dead quiet here. Crude oil not doing much. Gold not really doing anything either. Good time to practice a musical instrument or read a book or something. Tony says there's a little action going on in the soybean market. Well, let's pull that up. Are you looking at September or November beans, Tony? It usually doesn't make much difference, but just so I sync charts with yours. September, okay. All right, well, here's September beans. Nice move lower through the overnight. That's actually a very aggressive overnight session for soybeans. Now we're working a possible trend change signal, a little bit of a bounce off of the median line. You don't want to get too aggressive though. Soybeans have been in a very strong decline. They do tend to rally just before the harvest though. I should remember that. There tends to be a little bit of a rally before the harvest in the fall, after which time the market pretty much goes in a tailspin after the new crop comes to market. Yesterday kind of choppy for beans. Oh, except out of the open. Wow, look at that. Enormous move lower. Soybeans, one of those markets that I will use the alternate settings on, namely a 4-tick hawk, a 4-tick falcon, and a 6-tick eagle. All right, we've got ourselves the first micro-macro cross here in the hawk. I'm going to put a onesie on it just because the market is so sideways right now. If they go, great. If they not, If they don't go and just continue sideways from here, then I'll take my lumps. Now, because I'm just running a single here and I'm looking for the market to make a breakout, I will delete my profit objective. See if we can't run this one out a little bit. Who knows? We may get another big breakout like what we saw yesterday. Oh, good morning, Jim. Jim says the advanced decline numbers have got 1370 on the buy and 1220 on the sell, so fairly even market overall. Oh, now they're up to 1500 on the buy and 1100 on the sell, so things definitely shifting toward a buying perspective. Oh, well done, Bill. Bill says he got the Raptor crossover on the YM. I'll caution you folks, the market is early. You know, you don't want to get too crazy. Very often what happens if there's a pronounced overnight session, very often the market reverses against the overnight. And this is not what I would call a pronounced overnight session. Rather, something like what we saw yesterday, except yesterday, the market continued with the overnight session. So what Bill's looking at here is this cloud crossover in the Raptor producing a sell signal. Very good. Not sure which one you got in. Oh, probably this one here, because you said you did it just after the open. And we'll see whether the Dow can drift from there a little bit. What I would do, Bill, is we're making lower lows. Right? We got a lower low here. We've got a lower low here. So far, so good. We've made a lower highs here and here. We're making lower lows. So your analysis is sound. If the market gets up somewhere near this trend line, we should see the sellers press again. Not entirely sure where you have your stop, but let's say we see the market come up here, hit this trend line, and then start to head lower. That would be my cue to, if my initial stop was, well, let's say way up here, at least to bring it down to here and maybe even down to there. And now, you know, don't put it right on the high, don't put it one tick away. Give it a little bit of room, because very often the market will fudge just a little bit. But here in the Dow as well, you can see compared to yesterday's session, we have this sideways range going on. So there's our sideways range. Okay, good luck, Bill. Oh, our NASDAQ trade progressing nicely. I think I might bring my trade to break even now. We'll just roll it up there. And what do we have here in open profit? Ooh, I should probably not get too greedy on this one. Maybe I'll use the parabolics, because this does look like it's the breakout phase of the move. And what happens after the breakout phase? We have the market try to move against us, remember? Robert's got a trade manager question. Robert asks, good morning, Eric. Well, good morning, Robert. I have another trade manager question. I'm in Sim 101 and have activated in the control center under the file global simulation mode, but don't see the option under account to go to my live account. How do I do that in Trade Manager? I may need to refer you to Ben for the technical stuff. Try turning the global sim mode off. So what Robert's talking about is here under File, you can be in global sim mode. Turn that off. And let me just check here on mine whether that makes a difference. Strategies. Of course, you need to disable it first. And then you go to, no, it doesn't change it on mine. So I think if you take the global sim mode off, you'll find your account number under your account listings here, because mine is not displaying at the moment. And that's probably because it's in sim mode. Now, I've had people ask about the trading room. They say, do you trade real money in the trade room or do you trade in sim? We trade live, but in sim in the trading room. Now, some people think that's cheating, but I don't think so. So long as we're doing it live, it's not really cheating. And why is my trade manager? Oh, I haven't enabled it. That's why. There we go. When I am trading for real, I'm not explaining. I'm not talking. In fact, we tried it for a couple of days, and I quite literally mute the microphone. I have no distractions. And I remember even seeing in the chat window, which I ended up closing because it too was distracting, but people were typing in, tell us what's going on. What are you doing? Tell us. And I would highlight a trade, like I would say, okay, I'm going to buy the NASDAQ 45.56 half. My stops are going to be wherever. And that's all I would say. and you would see me place the trade. And some people found it very frustrating. So when I'm trading real money, I try to devote all my attention to what's going on in the charts. Every single bar that's developing gets my absolute attention. I heard, I spoke to a fellow actually once who has a website that features various trade rooms, and I think he had, several hundred. I want to say 300, but it's been a while since we had the conversation, so I don't remember for sure. But there were a lot of trade rooms. There's a lot of trade rooms out there. And he said out of all the trade rooms, there was only one where the trade room moderator actually traded live funds. So if you encounter a trading room and the trade moderator says, oh yeah, we're trading real funds, he's probably not. He's probably fibbing. Now, I don't want to come right out and call anybody a liar. I'm just saying what we do and why we do it, because this is not only a trade room. I do my best to point out quality trades to you, but this is also a training room, because as one of our members put it so eloquently, heaven forbid, Eric, you get hit by a bus. I need to know how to use this stuff by myself, which is so true. Oh, way to go. Jim, 3 trades on the Dow, up 30 ticks. Well done. Yes. Okay, so Robert says that was the fix, and Keith also says, yes, once you get off global sim mode, you'll see your account number there. Robert says, so what I did what you said, and it works. However, there's a glaring problem. I need the ability just to single click and go back and forth between Sim 101 and my active account. You may be able to change your account parameters on the fly up here. I know the new one, the latest version of Trade Manager allows you, I think, to change your account up here. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember for sure. But yes, trading between or flipping between sim and live has never been easy, regardless of what trade system you use, even if you use just one of your stock ATM strategies. It's never been a simple thing. So I feel your pain. Oh, there's a good idea. Jim came up with a very simple solution here. Here's Jim thinking outside the box. He suggests loading one chart for sim and one for real money. That's brilliant. I never thought of that. That's a great idea. So just run 2 charts in tandem. So you've got your 2 Raptor charts, and the one on the left is your sim chart, and the one on the right is your real money chart. Excellent suggestion. Yeah, it's always the simple ones that make the most sense, isn't it? And I don't mean Jim, I mean the idea. Yeah, less is more. Jim's got it. And another good suggestion, Jim says, make a chart template also. And I went over that yesterday, how you can do that. All right, getting a little bit of a macro pullback here. Not a whole lot of follow through on that breakout, but remember, we were expecting, the breakout, the retest, and then the final push through if the buyers are in control. So technically a macro pullback signal. If you took the macro pullback from here, you do have to cover below the low. Getting another macro pullback right here, I'll offer up another tick. Same thing, you got to take it below the low. Market trying to be bullish, but big important bar for the buyers. If they don't follow through from here, well, they're not going to. Oh, another good suggestion from Mr. Buckaloo. He suggests you can open up 2 trade managers on the single chart. I forgot about that one too. So you can go to your trade manager, you can double click, and you'll actually have two trade managers. And you can see one can be in SIM account and the other can be in your real money account. Just remember which one's which, and it will say across the top which account is which. Another fantastic suggestion. Moving into yellow bars now, so we'll close that out. See, you guys, you're so clever. And girls. Waiting for the ladies to come up with an idea. No pressure. All right, we're working a possible red bar buy signal. I don't think I would have called this a soft edge sell right here after that tiny little hiccup, but it may well be a soft edge sell. We'll see. In hindsight, we're back into the hard edge of the trading band now, and we do need to see something from this. Oh, I guess maybe we didn't really break out. We just hit the top end of the trading range. Oh my goodness. Opening range is almost due to expire. Normally we see a little bit more activity. Just a crazy, crazy lazy summer trading day. I do have a bad feeling about the sideways market thing. Some of you may be seeing this as a rule of three, and you might be ready to say, hey Eric, is that a rule of three? Well, I suppose technically it is. We do have a bullish band. We've got 1, 2, 3 counter trend signals. You might see this. Remember, a rule of three must always, always, always be preceded by a test of the extreme, in which case you got that right there. And you could be selling short. What I think I'll do is, you see how we're getting the second push on this signal? By the second push, all I mean is we allow the signal to engage and then for the bar to retreat. This is a nice example here. So the signal engaged or tried to engage, the bar retreated. What that allows you to do is it allows you to enter the market on some fresh momentum lower. So we can place our entry now below the low of that bar. And if you want, you can use your logic counter and give it a couple more ticks, enter below, let that bar finish entirely. Yeah, it's only 3 ticks. Stops, obviously going above the high. And now we're back inside the trading range. Yeah, Russell on top of that. Just before I explained it, I see Russell put it in the chat window. Hey, how about that rule of three on the Eagle? Yeah, I see it. I would allow, because it's not entirely clear, because we're kind of sideways drifting. We've got this uncommitted market. Let the signal engage. Let's get that second push on the entry. And we'll see if they don't come down and check out the bottom end of the trading range. And Jim says market has not sold off since Brexit, that big British vote to separate from the European Union. I think there's 4 gaps below. Complete market manipulation, Jim says. Yep. I know, I was just pointing out to somebody the other day all the opening gaps, like you said, there's got to be 4 good size opening gaps. But on the way down, there were opening gaps as well from that huge move lower, which have since been filled. We'll see whether or not we get some follow through. All right, so here we are again on the hawk, now testing the bottom end of the trading range. So we're coming in with the first micro macro cross lower. Oh shoot, I don't want 2 contracts. The market's still kind of floundering a little bit too much for me. I just want to go in here with a single. And if the order engages, what I'll do is I will delete the profit objective and see if we can't run this bad boy out a little bit. Now, I doubt very much we'll get a full-blown reversal today. Yesterday's rally, insanely strong. They rallied the market for nearly 2 hours, I think, before starting to drift sideways. And that now moves into yellow bars, so we can cancel that order. If this bar finishes higher, we're likely going to get a red bar buy signal. Oh, brother. They are so balanced. Like I said, the best course of action is actually to let them break, get outside this range, and then retest. That's the best thing to do. That's what the smart traders are doing. All right, the market's sideways. I'm checking my emails. Got a great question here from Robert via email. Robert asks, I finally discovered one aspect of the trading room that is confusing to me, to which I have not sorted out yet. That is, if you have the DTS, Eagle, Falcon, Hawk, etc., I'm having trouble correlating all that to the charts that I have when you talk about certain entries and exits and candle formations. I definitely see the two touches of the thin side and the hard side of the clouds, but I'm not sure if touching means the closest cloud to the candles or if that includes other cloud, or pardon me, the other cloud inside that cloud that is closest to the bottom or top of the candles, of course, meeting which way the trend is. All right, so I think what Robert is actually referring to here is on the Raptor, where we have the double cloud, and with the double cloud we have two hard edges. Now, one thing that you have to bear in mind when you're using these trading tools, and this is not just true for the Raptor, but it's true for DTS, and it is true for any other trading system out there. I don't care whether you're using Bollinger Bands, I don't care if you're using RSI or stochastics or whatever. None of these things truly exist, right? These bands are not really there. These lines, well, I suppose these lines just are highlighting the high and low of the opening session, so they're sort of there. This trend line on the Falcon is not really there. These support and resistance lines that are highlighted are not really there. The only thing that is real on your chart are the prices, right? That is the only thing that is real. These bands, these lines, these trend lines that we introduce are to help us interpret what price may be doing. Therefore, if we're referring to a trend line touch, and Ray Burke, I also used to call these moving averages, which is what many of them are based on, but we call them trend lines, moving trend lines, same thing. A touch is normally when the price encounters the trend line, the hard edge. We expect the market to do something at this point. So via the programming that's behind the Raptor, the bars are going to do certain things. Certain shifts in momentum are going to occur. There's about a half a dozen variables, actually a few more in the Raptor because it's a combination of the different tools, but there's certain variables that need to be met behind the scenes before we even print a warning dot. All right, so the computer is constantly analyzing all these variables that it's required to look at before it prints a signal. When all those parameters are there, you will get, or when most of those parameters are there, you'll get a warning dot. When all those parameters are there, you're going to get a triangle and a hash mark. There are certain setups, however, that are higher probabilities than others. You can see here, well, yesterday we were shooting fish in a barrel. You could buy in off of any signal and you would be fine. But today it's a little bit more difficult because the market is still going sideways. So we're looking for certain formations. For instance, let's see how Bill's YM trade is doing. Where did you go? There we are. So it looks like Bill's Dow trade trickling a little bit lower. And what Bill did is he capitalized on this signal right here, which is our high probability setup. It's a cloud crossover signal. So by monitoring the clouds and seeing that the clouds are crossing over, we're alert to a shift in momentum. And then when the signal comes out and produces, it goes into the band rejects the price or the move higher, comes out, and now all the signal parameters are met and we actually produced a sell signal. And Bill says he already took his profit. Well done. And a nice little move lower. Bill says, I only took a $50 profit like you suggested. You know what? In the summertime, that's not a bad strategy. Just take the early profit. Okay, so now, Robert, we've got the market. It moved into the hard edge. It broke the hard edge entirely, but that doesn't negate the fact that we expect the market to give us some sort of reaction when we get into the hard edge. Right? So the market moves into the hard edge. Moves into the hard edge once, tries to come out, moves into the hard edge again, and now it comes out with a buy signal. This happens to be what we would call a double pullback, where it's moved into the hard edge twice, it's coming out, it's now producing a signal. Now we also have the opportunity to get a second push on this one, and the second push simply means we allow the signal to engage. It retreated. I could have put my entry above that. I'm just going to punch in here now to demonstrate this one. Would have been much better to get an entry here. But this is one of our higher probability signals. Somebody commented at the Raptor forum the other day saying, you know, why is the highest probability signal on the Raptor a counter trend signal? He was referring to the soft edge buy and sell. Well, it's not the highest probability signal. It's just one of several high probability signals, most of which are with trend. So unfortunately, I didn't get the earlier entry here that I was hoping for. Oh, I guess I better get a stop in order. And I think we're probably about halfway to our profit target. Let's just see here. Oops, stop it. So had I got entry, yeah, not quite to the break even yet. Break even's just up here. All right, so we're just putting a onesie in here, trying to see whether the market has got any upside momentum. Remember, it broke up out of the channel, or kind of tested the overnight highs anyways, came down, and now it's making a higher swing low relative to the others, suggesting maybe a little bit of a bullish poke higher. All right, so we can scrub that order. Oops, wrong button. So I hope that makes sense. If not, let me know, and I'll try to clarify some more. Now, I think I may have missed some comments here, so just a moment. Robert's asking, the upper boundary where you said the entry has 2 green horizontal dashes, is that different from a different chart available on the Raptor? Which one was that? Which one was I looking at? Oh, I think it may have been was it the hawk? I don't remember. If it was off of a different chart, be aware that each of these charts are programmed to identify specific market conditions. So for instance, the hawk, you see your moving trend lines here, you've got your filter below, we've got the bars painting different colors, but here too, there's about a half a dozen parameters working behind the scenes that have to be met before you even print a warning dot. Those parameters are specifically tuned to try to find scalp signals, short-term moves higher or lower, depending on the signal. The Falcon Swing Trader, totally unrelated in its programming, it tries to find signals that produce swings. So here, we produced our trend change signal, so the trend line changes color. Essentially the first signal where everything is in sync. This also happens to be a late filter entry signal. Because the market is sideways, realistically I'd probably put my stop down there. And you can see we took a little bit of heat, but it did go up, find our high probability signal. All right, I think our Raptor trade may need a little bit of attention. All right, we're looking at the sellers trying to force the market down a little bit. And I'll cover, well, you know what, I may as well, I'll leave it back where I was. I'll cover at the low of the morning, right down there. Go Raptor, go Raptor. Oh, Russell's asking, and I think I might be late for this, Russell's asking, what about the red bar buy on the Eagle? It's a viable trade, Russell. I would probably treat this as my signal bar, in which case you might be long already. The problem I'm having with the Eagle right now is the market's sideways, right? You cannot ignore everything to the left of the chart. When the market is moving sideways, it's a 50-50 proposition. It may go higher, it may go lower. If you like those odds, then go ahead, take the trade. And I'm not saying that facetiously. When it is sideways, that's what you get. You got a 50-50 trade. The longer the market stays in this sideways progression, the less influential this previous uptrend will be to the market. That's why I mean it's a 50-50 proposition. Once the market breaks out and proves that it can stay out, then we can buy with confidence. If it breaks to the short side and stays out, then we can sell with confidence. The problem for us is waiting. These are the kinds of days that try your patience a little bit, and it's oh so tempting to take a trade out of boredom only to watch it fill you and then promptly reverse against you. Now, that does not negate the quality of the signal. This is still a fine signal. There's, at this point, if I had to give the nod to somebody, I would give a preference to the buyers based on yesterday's very strong session. However, the longer the market stays sideways, the less influence yesterday's rally will have on the current market condition. So what I would encourage you to do is, if you're going to take this signal, just go in light. Throw a onesie on it. If you're not already long, just throw a single contract on it. If it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, well, still haven't risked more than we can afford to lose. And I know losses are unpleasant, but in a situation like this, you're really, flipping a coin, taking a chance. Until it gets outside of that range, every trade we take is going to be a little bit of a crapshoot. But no, you're dead on with the signal there, Russell. You see, they tried, where can I best illustrate it? Maybe here on the Raptor. So the market opened, they tried to rally, and so far, the bulls still have the momentum, right? Our band is still kind of bullish. But then the sellers came back and took away all the gains that the buyers made, almost to the tick. So who has control? Nobody. Sellers tried to go up. Buyers brought it all the way back down. Even market, dead even. Is this a viable double pullback signal that I'm trying to highlight? In fact, I could have actually gotten my entry on the hash mark now. Yes, you bet, 100%. Does that mean the market must go higher from here? Well, the probabilities are skewed in my favor because of the nature of the signal. However, if I take the previous context into consideration, maybe not, right? Look at how long the market has been going sideways. Since noon yesterday, noon Eastern. What is that? That's about 21 hours, 22 hours. The market's been in the sideways drift. That's a long time. Okay, I think we're going to fail here in a moment. The market's going to stomp me out. Let's see if I'm getting a sell signal anywhere. Here's a better rule of three. It's developed a little quicker. It's not so drawn out. So we've actually got 4 signals, counter trend. But we've got this nice little itty-bitty retest. You see the market pulling away after the breakout. That gives us a chance to go in on a second push, cover above the highs. Now, I don't normally reverse on myself if I'm already long one market. I don't usually look to reverse and get into another position. Come on, get up there. Nope, there they go. They're going to fail. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I spoke too soon. Ooh, big move lower on oil, Jim says. Hold on one second. Let me get to that. Yeah, so here's oil now on the Hawk. And you can see crude oil open here in North America. Just sideways chop. First micro macro cross that did not follow through. Doesn't mean it would not have been worth taking, but we're missing a retest of the lows on this first micro macro cross. Therefore, it makes it a lot riskier, namely because I need to risk it all the way down there. Oh, I could afford it. Not a very pretty trade, and here the market tanks and heads lower, and now we're producing a first micro macro cross lower. Problem here, same thing but backwards. You've got to cover it up there. Yes, but oil very undecided today as well. A little move up and a little move down. A little move up and a little move down. All right, so it looks like this is the right spot to be holding our stops. Hopefully we'll see the buyers try to rally it up here a little bit and give me another chance to adjust my stops, but we're definitely in a sideways range today. We've got 1, 2, 3 hits on the low, and hopefully we will see the market try to challenge at least the top end of the range. Robert's asking, I think this is about the Raptor, what are the red and green L-shaped lines that are formed on yours? And I don't know the right word, numbers that display that indicate if price goes above or below, then it will proceed in that direction. Okay. This little green L that is around the price bar, that is tied in with the Geiger counter. That is part of the Geiger counter. It's the trade indicator, and what it does is it gives you a very short-term bias, a visual of the short-term bias. So by looking at the chart, the current chart, you can, without having to go back and forth between the chart and the Geiger counter, the very short-term bias is bullish. Okay, the Geiger counter, essentially a tape reader. You can see a visual of the time and sales. The needle also bullish right now because it's painting green. And the dial, I like to watch the dial because if the dial does this, it pulls over hard and you see how it's sticking, how it's holding. We need it to hold to the hard side here. Pull far over. Come on. There we go. And it holds and it holds. Oh, if we can get like 3 or 4 or 5 seconds out of it, that shows us a lot of active buying, in which case, yes, we should see a short-term move higher. See how the buyers are really trying to dig in and support this area. If the market does not rally from here, after watching that dial pull over and get stuck to the buy side, although now it's trying to stick to the short side. See, there's that little buying spike that we witnessed on the dial. If that dial, or if the market does not respond by moving higher after seeing that, that tells me that the sellers absorbed all that buy pressure and that the market will actually move lower. So you see our needle now a little bit, well, it has turned red. We don't have the trade indicator printing red just yet. Now the lines above and below, let me show you that on here. The Falcon, I suppose, is a little easier to see. These are the logic counter. These are standard, I believe, with the DTS and RTS systems. So you'll go to your indicator window and you'll find IW logic counter. There it is. And what the logic counter does is it forecasts the high and the low of the current bar. This will work on any range style bar, including mean Renkos. So it tells you if the bar finishes on the high of that bar will be 46.53 quarter. If it finishes on the low will be 46.49 quarter. Why is that helpful? Well, let's say we're producing a signal. Well, we've got a warning dot. And let's say we're anticipating a signal to print. I can tell you exactly where that hash mark will print. It will print one tick below the low of the current bar. In this case, 46.49. Okay, here we go. Now we're actually getting a trend change signal, so I can show you. So the logic counter says the low of the bar is 46.48 quarter. I know the hash mark will print 46.48. Therefore, I can set up my trade in advance. See? Hash mark printed right where I thought it would. Tony's asking, is there a way to turn the trade indicator off on the Geiger counter? Let's take a look. Trend indicator parameters. Enable, true. If you turn that to false, it will eliminate that envelope around the last bar. Okay, so you saw me set up for this Falcon trade here. But as you can also see, we're at the very bottom end of the trading range. So we still have not broken outside this trading range. Okay. Robert's asking, boy, with you having so many different types of charts, it's tough for me to correlate the information you're talking about you're talking about on one with the Raptor. Stumbling over my words there. They're not always going to correlate with the Raptor, Robert. That's just it. Each of these tools is independent of the other. Just because I may be getting a scalp signal, which I am, I'm getting a first micro macro cross lower. Just because I'm getting a scalp signal on the hawk does not mean I'm going to get a signal on the Raptor. In fact, you can see right now the Raptor is not producing a signal. You need to take each tool separate. You cannot transfer. It's not like, some people will run a 5-minute chart for scalping and they'll run a 15-minute chart for swing trading and an hourly chart for trend trading. That's not what we're doing here, not at all. Sometimes, the trades all come into sync like they are right now. And let's just see if we can't run this one out a little bit. It seems to be pressing a little bit lower here. Let's see if we can't get a little bit more. So yes, if I happen to be highlighting something on the hawk or the falcon or the eagle, you may not be getting that same signal on the Raptor. So we tried this double pullback signal. It did not pay off. That suggests that perhaps the market is not going to move higher, rather it's going to move lower. So now that it's attempting to move lower, what do you think we're on the lookout here for, Raptor owners? If I think prices are going to head lower, what am I on the alert for? There's a possible high probability signal building. We don't have it yet. What am I looking for? Gary's suggesting yeah, okay, here we go. We got it. A cloud crossover. That's right. The clouds are starting to cross over. You see they're going from a bullish stance to a more bearish one. When the clouds cross over, we expect the market to retreat into the cloud and then for the cloud to bounce it out, at which time it should produce a sell signal. Gary's asking about a soft edge sell. We actually had a soft edge sell signal right here. Now, it's a little bit of a sloppy one. A soft edge sell is a counter trend signal. So therefore, before you can have counter trend, you do have to have a trend first. Now you could say, well, there's my trend. Here's my test to the extreme, and then the market comes down, and here's my soft edge sell signal. I suppose in hindsight you could say, yeah, that's a soft edge sell, and it fell off a little bit. But real time, I was watching it. I didn't want to get too crazy on it, especially since I was already long. I was going to try to nurse it to the upside. Yeah, Jim, pretty good comment here from Jim. He says regarding using the tools, you still have to, put in some time to learn how to use them, to get a feel for the price action, get a feel for the quality of the signal. I was speaking to somebody just the other day about this. Journaling can go a long ways to helping you gain confidence with your signals, and help you clarify your thinking. So in other words, if you're journaling your trades and you get a cloud crossover, the market retreats into the cloud comes out, it produces a signal. You should always have two reasons to take a trade. So if you were looking at this particular trade, you could say, okay, cloud crossover, hard edge bounce, higher lows. It looks like there might be a new uptrend building. Okay, cloud crossover. Let's try it. The market goes up, hits your profit objective, comes down, and hits the hard edge. Comes out, produces a signal. So now, again, you need two reasons to take a trade. Well, you're producing a signal. You have a market that has made a higher high, and you have made a market that is making higher lows. There's two or three reasons right there. So you hop in, you take the trade, and the market continues higher and hits your profit target. This soft edge sell, you could have talked yourself into it because of the lower swing high, but it's not ideal. I suppose if you took a real bigger view of it, you could say, well, there's my uptrend. And it's true, that is your uptrend. It just happened to go sideways for a little bit. And here now is your retest. And there is your signal. So not a pretty soft edge sell by any means, but a soft edge sell all the same. So good eye there, Gary. Well done. All right, so we find ourselves short on a couple of our positions here. For those of you following the hawk, you'll notice that we're working a 4-arrow consolidation, and we just printed I suppose we printed our 4th arrow right there. Okay, somewhere near the lows here was my profit target. So now that the market has attempted to recover the trend, if you're a little bit anxious about the trade, you could bring your stops in above these highs. I would love to see this bar close on the low. Then I would definitely start rolling my stops in. That would just show me a little bit of bearish momentum. No follow through, you stinkers. You Raptor owners probably have noticed that the Raptor very often sacrifices the quantity of signals for quality of signals. Keith saying gold setting up for a crossover also. It does look that way, Keith. It's waffling, however. Again, a cloud crossover tends to highlight a trend change. But yeah, you're correct. If the market moves into the band here and the band rejects it and it comes out and produces a buy signal, it would be worth trying. Sure it would. We'll keep an eye on that. In the meantime, it's a regular snooze fest out here. Oh my gosh. I guess there's no reports or anything to spark the market. Oh, look at you guys. I'm a little bit late checking some of the comments in the window here, but you guys are all over this. Tony says, we got a 4-hour consolidation in the hawk, and sure enough we do. 1, 2, 3, 4. It happened to fall on a macro pullback. This one actually produced one more signal, which was in line with our first micro-macro cross signal. Oh, it's going to take some serious patience here. Where'd the sellers go? I know there's sellers out there. That's why I'm not rolling my stop in ultra quick. Once again, and I don't want to beat this horse to death, but there's not much else going on to talk about. So long as the market stays within this range, any trade we take is a bit of a crapshoot. See, now we're coming back with yet another red bar buy signal off of the hard edge. I would probably suggest if we do see the market break out, it's going to happen this afternoon. And on that note, I think we're going to button up the trading room for today. there's really nothing going on, like I said, until we get outside of that trading range. It's just going to be more of the same. So really be careful today. Do your best not to get anxious. I showed you a few trades this morning, but hey, it's a trading room, so I'll show you something, but I hope I tried to make it fairly clear that most of the trades that we're looking at right now are not quality signals, not until we break free of this. And we've been in this sideways range for practically 24 hours now. I'm not so sure that bull rally from yesterday is going to influence us quite as much. And we may actually see the sellers try to push prices a little bit lower. All right, folks, we'll catch you tomorrow, and hopefully things will loosen up a little bit for the Friday session. Bye for now.